What have you learned?
What have I learned?
Yes, sir. What have you learned?
One of the things that I've learned is like if I live my life with desire and fear, then the problem is if I desire something and if I don't have it right now, I feel bad. And if eventually I acquire whatever I desired, then I'm afraid that I will lose it.
Good. That shows some insight.
I don't know.
That shows insight. So you lose on both ends with desire and
Yeah.
fear. I think that's what the Buddha understood. That, yeah, both of those are kind of like end up frustrating. And so another way you could look at his quest was to look for something for which, once you obtained it, wouldn't, become mundane. But I digress. Questions? That's good.
Yeah. So I think last week we were discussing a bit about self-inquiry, right? Like more about who am I?
Okay.
To which
Or what am I? Go ahead.
you asked a question, who is the one who is asking who am I?
Good.
I don't know, it's a thought. There
Okay.
was a thought
All
who
right.
was asking who am I?
So if I was to tell you the self is a thought, prove me wrong.
I am aware of that thought.
You're aware of
There
many
is
thoughts.
something, am I? At a time I'm just aware of one thought.
Okay.
How
Are
do
you
you
always aware of
differentiate
yourself?
thought?
Are you always aware of yourself?
That is something that I was going to arrive at. And I don't know, I can't prove that. That's the problem with that.
You can't
I,
prove what?
I can't prove I am always there. It's more like I I know there is continuity of existence. I know what we were talking 5 minutes ago and all
You know that? How do you know that?
through memory. And that's what I was going to say.
You're going to trust memory?
That's the only thing I have that I can.
Actually, memory is highly,
But
highly, highly unreliable.
but that is the only thing I
That's not
have in
true.
this world that
You
I
have
can
something here and now. What is okay, what exists right now? What can you prove exists right now?
us talking.
Okay. But you can't prove me that I'm here talking. For all you know, this is a very sophisticated AI. So you can't prove that.
Yep.
What can you prove
Yep.
exists?
I how should I say? I would say I can't prove something to others.
Correct.
I can see things
I'm not
myself.
asking you to prove it to
I am
others. I'm asking you, what do you know for certain exists right now? What's all you ever know, frankly?
the presence that's looking at you via
But the
screen,
present requires
hearing you.
consciousness, does it not? Awareness. Otherwise, it's not the
Yes.
present. So the only thing you can be certain of is the present moment and your consciousness in it.
Yes.
Okay. So we're back to Descartes, Rene Descartes, Descartes.
Yeah.
I am aware, therefore I am. Oh, he said something different. I'm not going to try and paraphrase him, but you're going to say, but can we say for certainty that awareness exists right now?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think his
Now the question
quote was, I
is that
think that
awareness
way.
the same thing as the thought of self?
of self. It's just a thought
Correct.
referring to what
Correct.
I
And there
mean.
has to be awareness of that thought.
Yes, yes,
So, in our hypothetical, the thought of self exists, and the awareness of the thought of self exists.
yes,
But we can eliminate the thought, put another one in there. But the awareness remains, is what my point is. The only thing you're certain of is your conscious experience. That's the only thing you know. Frankly, prove me wrong.
yeah. I think my question was slightly different. I would say it was more about continuity of experience.
Okay, but that's a different question than what is a self.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
before, if imagine your parents had not given you a name, and imagine they'd sold you, and you were put on a boat to, I don't know, Greenland, and you grew up in Greenland with a different name, you'd still have the awareness, but you wouldn't have the same self. That's the distinction.
Yes.
That's the critical distinction, and that's a lot of this work, is understanding that you are awareness itself. You are awareness. Period. You are not the self-thought. But that you have to demonstrate for yourself to your own satisfaction.
Yes. So to this, I had a follow-up.
I'm sorry?
Can I have a follow-up to this.
Good.
So can thoughts ever know or feel the real me at all?
Okay, let me
Or
ask. Okay, then let's work through this. I'm going to give you a parallel question. Can computers have thoughts?
I don't know. Not
All
right
right,
now,
then
I
we won't go
guess.
there. We go there. Repeat your question. Give me your question again.
My question is, can thoughts ever know or feel the real me? No would be a better verb, I guess.
Well, tell me what a thought is, and I'll try and answer the question. What is a thought?
Thought is something that, how should I say, it doesn't have substance. It's something different than my senses,
Correct. Good.
and
How long does a
it's
thought
singular
last?
in nature.
How long does a thought last?
I don't know. It's
Well,
like
let's
that
try it out. Let's try it
multicolored.
out. Okay. The green rabbit jumped over the white cloud. Hold that thought.
Okay.
That's a thought, right? It's a little visual,
Yes.
so let's make it. As the green rabbit was jumping over the cloud, it thought about differential equations. All right? Hold that thought. How's the weather over there, by the way?
It's pretty sunny.
Is it?
Yeah.
And what's the forecast?
It will be sunny. It
All
may
right.
rain for some time,
What's the
but
Okay, so what's the population of the town where you are?
I think it's 11 million.
Whoa, that's a big town. All right, so where's the rabbit? Where's the rabbit thought while you were answering those questions? The rabbit thinking about differential equations as it's jumping over the cloud. Where was that thought as you were answering my demographic questions?
It was not there, but
Okay.
it is
Now,
now
what about
again
your
there.
awareness? Was it there?
Awareness is always there.
Okay, so
I'm
now
aware
what
of
you're trying to
this.
do is distinguish between. Okay, so you're going to tell me what thought is, but before you do that, can you see the difference between awareness and thought?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So awareness is always there. And later you're going to ask me about, well, what about deep sleep and all that, but we'll talk about that later. And thoughts come and go.
That was a question.
So that's one distinction. Now, does your thought of self come and go?
Yes.
Okay, what about your
Yes.
awareness of those thoughts? Does it come and
It
go?
doesn't.
So it stays. So are you the thought or are you the awareness, would you guess?
Awareness.
Okay. All right. Questions?
Yet I can't prove the continuity of my awareness. Because,
You
like
can't
you
prove
said,
anything.
you,
You can't prove a thing. Try and prove anything other than that awareness exists. Prove anything other than that.
actually, yeah, anything with respect to awareness can't be proved at all because those are again thoughts, and my
Try and prove
awareness is
anything.
aware
Try
of
and
these.
prove anything. I'm very serious. Try and prove that this pencil exists. You won't be able to do it.
Yeah, because those are still my senses. Like I
Exactly.
can see things.
And your senses can be
Those are the
tricked. Your
senses.
senses can be tricked, and they are tricked all the time. So the only thing you can be certain of is that awareness, experience, consciousness exists. That's the only thing you can be sure of as an individual, as a period. I mean,
So
humans have been
why?
down this road for many, many thousands of years, over and over and over, trying to, philosophers have been gone nuts with this. So have scientists, but that's just the way it is.
So why do I keep asking about is there a beginning and an ending to my awareness? When that doesn't make sense at all.
Just a bad habit and fear. See,
But
because once
is
you
it?
explore what awareness actually is, then all of those fears go away. But right now, you've been conditioned to believe a false thing, which is that you are the body that was born and the body that will die. But that's demonstrably false.
How?
Well, once you get comfortable with awareness, it'll be obvious because you have to find a beginning and an end to awareness in time or in space.
But there's no way to look at that at all.
What do you mean
There
there's
is
no
no
way to look at
proof.
that? You can do that yourself.
But I can only know of now.
Well, that's all you
How can you
need. That's
prove
all
of
you need. I
beginning?
said space.
Then what's the point of asking beginning and ending?
There's no
Because
point in that. There's no beginning to this mystery.
then why am I still attached to my thought? Again, that's just conditioning.
So you say you're attached, but you're not attached to anything. You just keep having the same thought over and over. I am my thought. I am my thought, or something like that. But your awareness is not attached to anything.
So this is where my question came in. Can a thought ever interact with the real me? Because if it can't interact with real me at all,
It
it's
can't even
like
exist without your
I'm
awareness. Nothing exists without your awareness. Nothing. Consciousness is all there is. God is all there is. Awareness is all there is. Show me something that exists outside of awareness. This is what the physicists
that's
are having so much trouble with. They followed quantum mechanics all the way down, and they realized the observer is part of the observed, and now they can't disentangle it. The universe is one thing. Everything's entangled.
who is the observer in that case?
In which
In
case?
that case, in which the physicists are observing quantum mechanics.
Well, we could say it's the physicist, but we could also say the. We could say okay. Let's just say the physicist for now. The awareness we will symbolize by the physicist. But see, those are all thought experiments. You and I are doing a thought experiment. But even the you and I is
Yeah.
illusory. This is just you talking to you. Just imagine you go to sleep and you have a dream. And in your dream, some guy with a beard, pops up on a dream screen and he starts talking to you about all kinds of strange stuff, rabbits jumping over moons and all that other stuff. That's all possible within your dream, is it not?
Yes.
You dreamt an entire world and another person and someone speaking to you and telling you things, telling you crazy things about rabbits jumping over clouds. Right?
Yes.
Okay. In that world, could you prove that anything exists?
No.
No, it just vanishes, right? The same thing, this is true. You're dreaming now, my friend. You're dreaming now.
But I do have memories of it. But again, memories can be changed. It can
Yeah,
be
you have memories of us talking,
tempered.
2 weeks ago or something. I don't know. But that doesn't mean that it's real. You can have memories in dreams. You're walking down a street in a dream. You're asleep and dreaming. And you say to yourself in the dream, I've been down this street before.
Yeah.
So you can have
But it
memory
could
and
be
dreaming.
a
It's all,
different-
see, this is all, see, you're afraid is what it comes down to, I think. You're afraid of the truth.
I don't know. I do sometimes not give in, but
You're
there
afraid
is a
to acknowledge
desire
what
for
you really are. But that's okay. Otherwise, we'd have nothing to do, right?
no. But why? Why do I? What am I missing?
You're not missing anything. I mean, you've acknowledged that you are awareness itself. What else could you be?
I have acknowledged it, yet I am attached to thoughts. Yet I am attached to what other
You
things.
imagine that you're
Other
attached to thoughts. Thoughts come and go like raindrops. Millions, billions of them every day. I don't know about
But are
billions every day. I don't know. Millions or whatever. Lots of thoughts have come and gone in your life. How many thoughts do you think you've had in your lifetime? I shouldn't have said every
I
day.
don't know.
A lot though, right?
A lot. And what does it mean to say how many thoughts? I feel like thoughts are like multicolored ribbon, and a color changing, morphing from one color to another color.
Oh, your thoughts
To
are
another
colored?
color.
Your thoughts are in color?
Colored. Like it's something like there is no definite boundary between two thoughts. Like it keeps
Okay.
moving from one place to another. That's what I think. I
Have you examined it closely under direct observation?
Yeah, because again,
Okay, I
splitting
want you to
things
see
up
if you
is
can
again
create a
simple.
space between thoughts.
Space between thoughts.
Let me give you one thought. This is wood.
Yeah.
This is felt.
Yes.
Is there a space between those thoughts?
I don't feel so, to be honest.
Oh, that's interesting. You're the first person I've met who does not have any space between his thoughts. So it's like a waterfall?
context
Thoughts are
of
like a
thoughts change.
waterfall for you?
Kind of like that, yeah.
Oh, well, can you, okay, like a river?
Yeah, it keeps changing, yeah.
Is it a river you could step into twice, or is it a river that you could never step into twice?
It's a river that I can never step into twice.
Okay.
That's for
All
sure.
right. Well, good. That's
that's
fascinating.
something-
Wait a minute. Whoa. This is incredible. So there's no break in that river. Can you
That
dam
may
it?
not be true.
Can you put a dam in that river?
What does it mean to put a dam on that river?
You stop it
Yeah,
from
in a
flowing.
way,
You stop it from flowing.
yeah,
You can do that?
during my
Huh?
deep sleep.
No, no, no.
During my
Let's talk
deep
about
sleep.
now in consciousness. Let's work with it now.
Okay.
Can you stop that river?
So what does it mean to stop a train of thought?
Well, the train of thought stops for a moment.
A bit. I don't know.
Well, that's very important. Can you slow it down?
A thing though, if I know I have slowed it down, doesn't it mean that a thought already came into being if I know I have slowed it down?
I don't know.
Or
Your
how
thoughts are
would
your
I?
own. No one can get into your head except for you. I'm a psychiatrist, right? Or I was what?
Yeah.
For many, many decades. Many, many. Okay, a lot of decades. No one can get inside your head exactly except for you.
But the
Your
question
experience is just like I
arises,
can't tell you, what color is this?
right?
No, it's not. It's orange. That's a subjective experience. So your inner thoughts are a subjective experience. They belong only to you. Actually, your entire world is a subjective experience. It belongs only to you.
But I have one question, like if I know that I didn't have thought for some period of time,
Mm-hmm.
how do I know that I didn't have any thought for a
You
certain
don't.
period of time without?
You don't. Time just passes. There's no memory. Although there could be physical
Yeah.
sensations. There could be physical sensations. Or there could be a clock on the
So
wall.
what? So what does it mean when you say, can you slow down your thoughts?
You just did it.
Putting a time. Yeah,
What do you mean, what does it mean?
but
What does it mean that the grass is green?
nothing. It's just green. That's it.
Okay, so the thoughts are just slowed.
But there are certain thoughts that point to something bad will happen in the future, right? Can happen.
Like what bad is going to happen in the future?
Uh, there's some thoughts for me are people like when I'm doing something or presenting something, my like I have racing thoughts that say others are judging me and I'm really
Those
bad
aren't
at
in
it
the
and
future.
eventually
Those aren't in the future. They're in the present.
those thoughts are in the present, but the thought is about the future.
So what? I mean, what is that? So what? What's the worst thing that
So
can
what
happen?
if I'll be uh, I get killed?
Right, your body dies.
Yeah.
It turns out that's not the worst thing at all. That's not a bad thing at all, dying. Getting bored, sometimes that can be tough, right?
Yeah.
And life can be tough on this planet, in this incarnation. It's tough sometimes, right? But dying, what is that? What do you think? What are you worried is going to die?
Because I'm grateful for whatever life I have right now, and I don't want to miss it. It's an attachment.
Good, good, good. Well, death and birth and death are part of this life.
What do you mean by this life?
Okay, we're only here for a
This life
short
of the
time.
body.
We're only in this kind of world, this world for a short time. We pass through it. How old is the universe? I mean, just I'm going to do this just for fun, but you know, it's irrelevant. But how old is the universe?
Millions of years.
Maybe billions of years. How about like 13.6 billion years?
Yeah, 13.8.
And how long is a human lifetime? Let's make it 100 years.
Not even a fraction of it.
We are mayflies. Do you know what a mayfly is?
Yeah.
So we come,
Yeah,
we dance and sing on this earth for a short while, and then we do something else. Have you been reading the sutra?
Yeah.
Oh, good. That will help. See, because you've been conditioned into one way of looking at the world, and so now what you need to do is uncondition and learn another way that's more accurate. No? And that causes less suffering. Well, you in the beginning you said you'd realize that desire and fear were both losing propositions.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose scenario.
It's a lose-lose-lose. Well, so you know that your conditioning, right, is not the way to go, right? If it's a lose-lose proposition, then that's not the way you want to go. And there's other ways to go. And you imagine that this is the only world there is, but why would you think that?
You can't even prove that.
You can't prove that because it's not true. So what can you prove to yourself?
Definitely, I would say whatever I'm aware of right now.
Awareness exists. You can't even prove that what you're aware of is real. The only thing you can prove without a doubt to yourself is that awareness exists. So start from first principles, right? Now, if you want to add something to that, go ahead. What do you want to add to that fact?
This awareness feels like looking through a window, yet you can't do anything. Because I was thinking about, do I have control? No. Control implies there was a choice.
What do you want to do? It's not a window. If you look out the window and you see the world, the sky, the clouds, the trees, the breeze, the birds, that's what you are. That's what awareness is for you when you're looking out that window. Nothing exists without your awareness. Nothing at all. Name something that exists without awareness. Name a single thing that exists independent of awareness.
Jupiter?
Doesn't exist independent of awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, awareness in that sense, yes.
So what's the problem?
Its effects can always be felt.
Huh?
Sorry. I was just going to say its effects can still be felt via various cause and effects, or how should I say?
Give me an example.
The gravitational force or whatever comet.
So you say gravity
whatever.
exists?
Yeah, no, I think, we were discussing it a few weeks back about how everything in the universe matters, and in that sense that its presence can still be felt.
If you say so. But only if you say so. So let's just get back to what we can absolutely prove for a fact. What can you prove absolutely to a fact for yourself?
Again, that we are talking, that we are seeing each
Yeah,
other.
you say we are talking, but I'm telling you, I am you. So I don't know where the we comes from. The separateness is an illusion. See, have you studied entanglement in physics? People imagine that there's two particles. Have you studied any? If you studied entanglement, right? People imagine there's two particles, right?
Yeah.
But there's not two particles. There's one thing. There's one thing. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what entanglement means. It's one thing. You know who you might benefit from is Chris Fields. Beautiful, beautiful thinker. He's you know, his own man. I mean, he's an independent thinker, but he's used a lot by other folks, like some very smart folks, for these kinds of questions. But the universe is entangled, obviously, right? Where does that entanglement end? It doesn't. The boundaries that we imagine are just that. They're imagined. So you say we are talking, that there's a boundary between you and me, and I'd say no, there's not. This is just one consciousness putting on a show. It's really quite extraordinary when you think about it.
Like I theoretically I get it, because everything's connected. How there is no singular point where I can say this is me, this is that.
Very good.
But there is, I don't know. There is.
You do know. You're pretending not to know. That's the fun thing about this Dharma work. We pretend not to know for a lifetime sometimes for some folks. I mean, we literally pretend the whole way, because everyone knows, everyone is it. It's like characters in a dream. Do they know that they're being dreamt? Deep down inside they know.
Do they though? You can't
go dream and ask one.
No, there's no way to prove that. I don't know.
It's to yourself that it matters, right? I've proved things to myself already, right? So to yourself, or what you imagine is yourself, it's not so much proving something, but getting rid of the false notions. See, truth is what's at the bottom of all this. The realm of reality is what's at the bottom of all these questions and all these puzzles and all these thoughts and all this philosophy and all this science. At the bottom of all of it, you get to the realm of reality. And the realm of reality is awareness itself.
But what am I missing? Something like...
No, you're not missing anything. You're adding things. You're adding things.
I think I'm taking something for granted. I'm assuming something that I don't know. And
you're adding desire and fear to all this. Pardon, go ahead. You're presuming...
I'm adding desire and fear. I feel like I'm assuming something and like on some belief that's way too subtle for me right now.
It's not that subtle. It's not that subtle. You believe that you're an animal that was born, you know, in a pile of blood and mucus and stuff like that, and then you started to, you know, crawl and then walk, and then now you're a hairless ape that's walking around, and that you're going to die. That's not very subtle. You've just gotten confused, that's all. There's nothing subtle about your beliefs. Your beliefs are that you're born and you're going to die, and you have to spend your whole lifetime in fear and desire, because that's the only way to go, just like a monkey.
Yeah. I don't fully believe that, because
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, why do I still... It's like theoretically I get it. There's no way I can be separate from others. In fact, whatever I'm thinking is itself a result of the whole universe doing whatever it can.
It has to be, because it's all entangled. It's all connected. They say entangled, right? It's like a big discovery. Oh my God, these two things are not separate. They're not separate things, you know, separated by 3,000 miles, but acting instantaneously. They're the same thing, right? And if you flip it, you flip it. It just looks different depending on which side of the planet you're looking at. So, yeah, welcome to the real world. Separateness is the illusion, as incredible as that seems. And awareness is all there is, as incredible as that seems.
Like, I think when we were discussing last week, when I was asking who am I, this is what I arrived at. When you
Good.
asked
Let's
who
hear it.
is asking who am I,
Let's hear it. What'd you arrive at?
I answered it thought, but I would say the whole universe asked me to ask myself who am I. Everything in this, like, not in a selfish manner, because it's not doing it for me as such, it's doing it for everyone.
That's what it's there for.
Personal as such.
That's what it's there for.
So this is what I say, like, I think in a way I don't have control. Like, for me to have control would imply there was a choice.
Okay, I don't know why you say you don't have control. If you can dream an entire universe, if you can dream a human life, if you can dream me talking to you here, I don't know how you can say you don't have control, but okay. Do you have control in your dreams? You have control to dream your dreams, right?
Or do I?
Okay, so let's say you dream a character walking down the streets and he picks up a tin can and throws it at a street lamp. Did that character have control?
No.
Did the dreamer have control?
Also no, because
Did anybody have control?
No.
What is this word control then? What is this word control?
That's what even I was thinking. Control means there is a choice and there is something who can choose it in an unbiased manner.
To do that, you'd have to be separate from
that's
it.
not possible.
You'd have to be separate.
Yes.
And where's the
Separate from
separateness?
everything.
Right. So that's what they try and do. That's why they have to put these particles that in quantum computing they have to freeze it down to below low. How cold is these quantum computers? How cold do they make the chamber? I think it's like 0 degrees Celsius or something.
That's still too hot, I guess.
It is.
I think it's around near 0 Kelvin.
Kelvin. All right. What is that in Fahrenheit?
In millikelvin.
What is that 0 Kelvin in Fahrenheit?
Sorry. No, it's 0 Kelvin. So it's like minus 273 degree Celsius or 459 degree Fahrenheit.
493
The
degrees?
coldest.
How cold?
No, minus 459.
Okay. So for the Americans, it's minus 459 degrees. For the Europeans, it's minus 274 degrees. And for the science type, it's 0 degrees Kelvin, right? Now, that's how they're trying to isolate something from the rest of the universe, right? That's what these quantum computers are trying to do, is to isolate something as much as possible from the rest of the universe. And it takes enormous amounts of energy and enormous amounts of work and all kinds of things. And even then, they don't completely isolate it. You can't.
How can they isolate? How can, like...
Study quantum computers,
on
some other part, or watch a YouTube on it or something.
No, more precisely, it's about how can you observe these things at all? Because the moment you try to observe, you will be sending a photon that will just energize those things, and it won't be 0 degree.
Very good. Excellent. Good. Bravo. Good. Oops, sorry. Sorry. That's more like it. Very good. So the act of observation changes the observation. Now, where is that not true? It's true everywhere. Because you're part of, that's what you are, is the observation. You are the awareness itself.
Question about this.
So let's say a bird flies across the sky. Is that different than a thought for you?
A bird fly across the sky?
Yeah. Is that a thought?
It's like
Where do your thoughts occur?
that thing as in
Let's say, where do your thoughts occur?
through some stimulus or through some bodily
Okay, we got the
sensations
stimulus and all that,
can
but
equal
where does
thought.
it occur? Where does the thoughts occur? Just give me the usual answer.
Brain.
In the brain, right? Where do visual images occur?
At the back of my brain.
Good. So a bird flying across the sky, what is that?
Back of my brain processing.
But in order to recognize it as a bird, it's got to move from the occipital cortex. It's got to move from back here up here. And it moves through here and then through the limbic system and back and forth, right? So how is it different than a thought? By the way, the occipital cortex is the cortex. Back here.
The backside. Yeah.
So is it a thought or not a thought?
It is at the same time it is not.
Why is it not a
No, it
thought?
is.
Tell me why it's not a thought. Tell me what makes a bird flying across the sky not a thought. Explain that to me.
Because it's just senses.
No, it's not.
I
You
just
recognize
saw-
it as a bird. How do you know it
If
wasn't
I
a
don't
squirrel or a
recognize it as a
bat?
bird.
Pardon me? How do you know it wasn't a squirrel or a bat?
Do we need to?
That's what I'm asking you.
If I don't,
I'm asking you. A bird, why is it not a thought?
like if I were to differentiate it, if I were to identify it as a bird then it's a thought. But if I were to see it as a
I see.
image,
Okay, you
or just-
see an eagle flying across the sky. Is that a thought?
Yeah.
You see a leaf falling from a tree.
it's-
Is that a thought?
If I categorize it as a
Okay,
leaf
skip the
falling from a-
categorization. All right. You see a hammer falling off a roof. You just see something falling off a roof. You don't know what it is. Is that a thought?
Yeah.
Huh? Something falls off a roof. You walk outside, you're walking down the street, and you see something fall off a roof. Is that a thought?
You are something. If I remove something, then no, it's just a sense. The vision.
Okay, so you're saying
think
a
that I
sense thought is not a thought.
Thought can operate on top of my senses,
Okay,
but
All
there
right.
can be scenarios where those can be removed.
is that a thought?
It's just a bell, but now I have identified it. So
Okay,
it's a thought.
all right. I'm going to argue that thoughts... All right, okay, you want to make a distinction. All right, go ahead. That's fine. You can make that distinction. But they both, according to our best scientific understanding at the moment, involve electrical activity in the brain. Whether it's done by direct stimulation, whether it's done by sensory input, or whether it's done by something else. Okay, so if you want to make the distinction, go ahead. I don't know where you're going to draw it, right? They both end up in the cortex.
So then this begs this question, because when you are living a real life, there will always be stimulation. Either
I'm going to tell you,
visual
that's all
stimulation-
there is. This world is a thought. A bunch of thoughts, I guess, or something like that.
So what does it mean? Like earlier we were discussing, right?
But see, the
Can we
consciousness
separate
is not in the
different
brain.
thoughts?
Awareness is not in the brain. So this only goes so far. Okay, now I'm just kind of speaking to the audience. Thoughts and sensory input and things like that do occur in the brain, or have very, very strong sensory correlations, very strong correlations with activity in the brain. That does not mean that the brain produces awareness itself, which, by the way, is different than alertness or a level of awakeness or whatever. So go ahead. What's your question?
No.
You're saying these are imaginary things in your skull, and one goes into one pile and the other one goes into another pile. And I'm asking you what the distinction is. Can we say they're both as real as each other? Which is more real, your thoughts or that bird flying across the sky?
Both of them.
They're equally real.
Yes.
Are you sure one's not more real than the other?
No.
So what's more real, this sound or your thoughts?
Both. I'm aware of.
They're equally real.
What does it mean?
Is that what you're saying? Okay, they're equally real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just thought. Now, this brings us actually to an important point about Krishnamurti. When Krishnamurti speaks of being without memory and without thought, without the movement of thought, he's talking about awareness outside the brain. That's very important. People don't understand that. But he's talking about awareness without the brain getting involved at all. I mean, to speak of, except you have to breathe and you know, take care of regulatory stuff. But do you see what I'm saying?
How can you do that?
Well, that's called waking up.
That thing outside our senses.
That's called waking up. Your senses still operate. Your lungs still breathe. Your heart still beats. You can still see colors and birds and clouds and sky. But you don't depend entirely on your brain. You're free.
But what? I still don't
You're home. You're basically home. You finally walked out of the door of this prison we call human life. You're free of that. For the first time since before you were born. That's what's meant by the original face. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I still don't see how free am I. I don't feel
Well,
free.
no, you're a prisoner right now. You're trapped in your mind. You're trapped with these bars of fear and desire, and these beliefs that you have about the world, which are false, and you haven't been dissuaded of them yet. So you're captured. You're captive. You're a prisoner of your own mind. And what this whole enterprise is about is trying to set you free, to go back where you came from, which you've never left, in fact, which is true right now, that the awareness is independent of thoughts. You have awareness of thoughts. You are not thoughts. Okay? And then we go from there. That's the first thing you've got to understand. That your awareness and your thinking brain are two separate things.
Yeah, I think there's no way my brain can touch the awareness because...
Well, don't believe it because I said it. But please don't do that. But go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I have some proof.
All right, go ahead.
It's proof that if I theorize anything, if I have any concept about how my awareness will look like, that theorization, that concept itself is, I'm aware of that concept itself. So,
and it limits you. And it limits you.
It's like seeing a reflection of something and saying that to be the real thing.
It's a lot worse than that. By believing you know what consciousness is or having these theories about it, you limit your capacity to actually experience it. That's why they were always talking about beginner's mind or emptying your teacup, or Jesus said, become like little children, become like a child, or where they talk about the innocence of the unborn, state. I mean, this is the face before you were born. There's a million ways to talk about this awareness, but people have no idea that it belongs to them. It is them, and they suffer. They suffer because of that. And this whole game is just trying to set people free.
But what I'm trying to say is any theory, any understanding of myself is itself being looked at by my awareness.
Correct.
So it can try whatever it can. It can theorize as much as it wants.
Correct.
But the real awareness is still looking at this. It can never live that.
Correct. Very, very good. Very, very good. I'm conditioning you in the right
It's like,
direction. Okay, keep going.
I feel like this is what looking back, turning the light around is, right?
It's the first
Like,
step. It's a beginning step. That's just a temporary exercise, right? Turning the light around.
that's what even I was thinking. Like, I can't turn, like, I can't
See, and that's
literally
just a
turn my light
metaphor. See,
on.
so don't get caught up on that because you don't need to turn the light around. The light is facing in all directions. It's all everywhere, right? But for an expedient, this exercise was developed to help people distinguish between their thoughts and their awareness, right? And so once you've done that, then you can drop the turning the light around and move on to the next step. Which, by the way, where are you in the Avatamsaka, the flower ornament? Just out of curiosity, so I
It's
can
in
read. May I read a little bit? Page what?
yeah, I think I had one question there though. It's the flower bank word,
Okay, go
the
ahead.
book 5. It's on page 213.
Okay, but you had a question?
Yeah, it's related to that.
All right, well then let me read a couple of paragraphs or so, and then we'll get to the question, all right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
this is the Flower Bank World. It's book 5 of this exquisite sutra. Uh, this is so, and in a beautiful translation into English for the first time in what? Into a Western language for the first time in, I don't know, 15 centuries. So it's a real blessing to all of us. Okay. Now, the name universally good, that's also Samantabhadra for those of you who use texts that have the Sanskrit. But what Thomas Clary did was he put it in plain English so you don't get caught up in all the Sanskrit words or the and he also wants you to understand the richness of these Indian names. At any rate, here we go. Then Universally Good went on to say, what worlds are there herein? I'll tell you. In these seas of fragrant waters, numerous as atoms in unspeakably many Buddha fields, rests an equal number of world systems. Each world system also contains an equal number of worlds. Those world systems in the ocean of worlds have various resting places, various shapes and forms, various substances and essences, various locations, various entryways, various adornments, various boundaries, various alignments, various similarities, and various powers of maintenance. Some of these world systems rest on seas of gigantic lotuses. Some rest on seas of jewel flowers of boundless forms. Some rest on seas of ornaments of treasures from repositories of all pearls. Some rest on seas of perfume. Some rest on seas of flower. Some rest on seas of crystal webs. Some rest on seas of swirling light. Some rest on seas of enlightening beings' jeweled crowns. Some rest on seas of the bodies of all various living beings. Some rest on diamonds emanating the sounds of the voices of all Buddhas. There are as many of these, if fully expounded, as atoms in an ocean of worlds. Some of these world systems are shaped like high mountains, some like rivers, some like whirls, some like whirlpools, some like wheel rims, some like altars, some like forests, some like palaces, some like mountain banners, some like geometric figures, some like wombs, some like lotus blossom, some like baskets, some like bodies of sentient beings, some like clouds, some like the distinguishing features of the Buddhas, some like spheres of light, some like webs of various pearls, some like all doors, some like various adornments. Their shapes, if fully told of, number as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds.
But I think
There's one thing I want to emphasize here. It's, God, that's gorgeous. Some rest on seas of the bodies of all the various living beings. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance to read a little bit of that. Okay,
Yeah.
questions?
I had one question in the last verse of that.
Okay.
I think the verse goes, the Buddha's lands are like space, fearless, unborn, without any signs. To aid living beings, they beautify and purify lands, dwelling therein by the power of their original vows.
Okay, I'm sorry. So it's the last paragraph of the page, right? Is that what you said?
No, it's like the verse right at the start of the page.
Oh,
The
okay.
Buddha's lands are like space.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm lost. Which paragraph is it?
It's I think on page 2 and 3,
Yes.
right above the first para. I think then universally God went on.
Okay.
Right above that, there is a verse, right?
All right. Go ahead.
I think the verse is the Buddha's lands are like space, fearless, unborn, without any signs.
Okay. Good. Good. Good.
Were you able to?
I'm not
locate
finding
it?
this. I can't find it. Okay, so we're almost at the top of the page. Oh, I see. Okay, I got it. The Buddhist lands. Okay, so here we go. For inconceivable billions of eons, having associated with all Buddhas, everything they practice can be shown in a single instant. The Buddha's lands are like space, peerless, unborn, without any signs. To aid living beings, they beautify and purify lands, dwelling therein by the power of their original vows. Okay, beautiful. What's the question?
So, question: how can everything be shown in a single instant? Is it because every instant is timeless?
Time is something that emerges from the human mind. It does not exist as an absolute. And the same thing is true of space. These are something that the human mind creates. Probably not just the human mind, maybe some animals too. So they aren't fundamental in physics or in any serious scheme. So time and space are emergent from the activity of mind. Reality itself takes no space and no time. It's outside of both of those. And that's something you have to directly experience, and you will if you keep working. And so once you step outside of space and time, then there's not space and time. It's akin to a dream. Let's say you had that dream where you're walking down the street, right? And you throw a can at a street lamp. How much time did that really take? Or let's start with the space. How much space does that dream really take? You walk down 5 big city blocks. How much space is there really?
None.
Exactly zero.
That's the case with real life as well. Because
I'm sorry, what?
what I am is just, isn't that the case with waking awareness as well? Waking
Awareness, yes. It's all illusory. This world is a dream world. It doesn't take up any
space. At the end of
space.
the day, just senses.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I'm just senses. I just feel.
You're just experience. You have sensory experience, but you have thought experience and you have other kinds of experience. All right, so let's just say your experience. At the end of the day, the only thing you can prove exists is your awareness and your experience. That's the only thing that you can prove exists on this earth. And you better prove it quick because it's all going to go away, right? Everything's in flux, everything's in motion, everything's being consumed by a fire of diamond light, you know. So this all goes away, and then what's left? What's left is the realm of reality, outside of space and time, where space it's not irrelevant, and time the same thing. And so what we're trying to do, another way of saying what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to get you to wake up and step into the realm of reality where you can see how obviously that's true. But the years of conditioning and karma, the cause and effect of the human mentality or whatever is working against you at the moment, right? Because this desire and fear block the way of seeing. Because once you're outside of space and time, believe me, there's no fear and there's no desire. You can create a world if you like. You did. You can create a cosmos, and you did. So that's why this is the best game in town. You're looking for reality itself, and reality is very, very, very different than most people imagine. And frankly, this is actually a fairly advanced realization that occurs, after waking up, and then it takes a bit of I don't know what I'd call it. It's not work. Intent to understand. But it'll all be given to you if you ask for it. And so this sutra, the beauty of this sutra is that it works at all levels. It works for beginner. You have to have a reasonable amount of intelligence, okay? And there's other things for other people if they don't have that intelligence. But with a decent amount of intelligence, this, because it's a Mahayana text, it's different than Theravada, but at any rate, it's also the base text for Zen, and it works at whatever level the student or the acolyte is, or the adept is, and it goes way up. But it includes everybody to bring them along. That's why you can get the paramitas out of here. So it really is remarkable, and it's amazing that we have it. All right, questions?
Just one more question.
Yes, sir.
I think in the second verse, it said, all these adornments are there to aid sentient beings.
There it is. Boom. All these adornments are there to aid sentient beings. They're there to help you. You are a sentient being, are you not?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the question?
My question was, we have been talking about adornments a lot throughout this book. I always thought, why do they keep talking about gems and all? Why? But how?
With regard to gems, they are pure, right? That's the point. They don't have defilements in them, and they're also valuable, and this is valuable, and they're also they're of many different colors. But then they talk about the sense of gems, the fragrance of gems.
Yeah.
And they talk about many things like that, and that's designed to kind of start opening your mind, right? But what was the other thing you said? Gems and what else? Oh, adornments. What other word can you put? Because the thing is, this whole world is an adornment to truth. Everything's an adornment, or it's like a flower. Well, they also call it the flower ornament, right? So what is a flower but an adornment for us? What is all this beauty that we're given? I mean, it's just gratuitous. It's like an ornament.
Adornment also implies a clean slate as well.
A what?
Adornment also implies a clean slate on which we adorn something.
Yeah. It's a word, I'm sure, to choose that word in English. I don't know, maybe it was difficult, maybe it's not, but this translator slaved his life away, ruined his health too, pretty much. I don't know. It's a lot of work to translate this sutra. And so we owe a debt to Thomas Clary, and then everyone that preceded him that wrote the thing, and the people that preserved it, and the people that copied it, and the people that used it and So it's the history of human. I mean, it's a huge chunk of the history of humanity, right there. So, all right. Final question before we stop.
That's it.
Okay. Hasta luego. Keep chugging. Keep chugging. Keep trucking. The flower bank world is going to start to open your mind more, and just let it. You don't have to argue with it, but it's planting seeds, right?
Yes.
Like these oceans of worlds that rest on sentient beings. Like, that's just a seed, right? And the fact that the numbers of worlds, there's not just one world here, folks. So they were talking about a multiverse long, long before we got around to it here in the impoverished West. Okay, sir?
Yes.
Take good care. Ciao.